So, George, we actually have you in our video studio. Thank you for coming. What brings you to EG today?
Yeah, no, it's great to be here, and it's nice not to be in the away dressing room for once, and to come and see, behind the scenes. But yeah, no, I got a message randomly a few weeks ago from obviously the EG faithful, asking if I'd be interested in representing them in the club day here, and yeah, having had many great battles against the club over the years, and obviously more recently the atmosphere that's created here from those guys, and whilst it's they've wanted us not to win and me probably not to play well, it's always been really good humoured. It's always been good fun, and then they've supported us on occasions as well. So yeah, it was a great opportunity to come down and be part of this club day and also to play with those guys.
Brilliant. Thanks for coming and thanks for making time for this. Um, let's just go back in time because I think you're a larger than life character. A lot of people know you, but they probably don't know a little bit about your story. And I mean, Ipswich then to Beeston. Can you talk a little bit about that part of the journey?
Yeah, so I'm not from a hockey family, so very sporty family, particularly a very sporty granddad. So he was quite big on, and mum, dad as were doing as many sports as possible. I've talked about it before, but very sliding doors moment led to me playing in goal and hockey ill at school one day. And yeah, played local clubs, played Ipswich and East Suffolk to start with, then played for Ipswich, who at the time were in and around the National League as a men's team with a very successful women's team. Went to uni, the club got some investment, wanted to keep me, and being totally honest at the time, Beeston were burning through goalkeepers, two or three a season. And at 18, I was always a big believer, like, if you want to be good, you've got to play. So chose to stay at Ipswich, did a year. Beeston were then really keen for me to go and play. I was up there at university, made the transition across, and I'd like to think I would have got picked anyway, but got quite lucky in the first pre-season. Well, I did. Tom Skinner didn't bless him, did his knee, and I ended up running with that opportunity to be first choice goalkeeper, and literally from there my career accelerated quite quickly. But yeah, it was always something that I was looking at doing once I knew about uni and I was going to be up there playing for them, but just bided my time a little bit to make sure it was right, really.
And Beeston a great family club as well. And I mean, you can't really criticise what Griff has done there. He's made an incredible setup. I think some interesting partnerships for Highfield School, the Nottingham University. Is Nottingham Trent involved
Yeah, I
as
think
well?
there's the unis, the clubs. They've done a really good job of creating a hub of hockey there, where people are struggling to create, get facilities.
Yeah.
They've provided the opportunity for it all to be hosted there. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, as I said, coming from Ipswich, very small town club. Myself very close to my family, so those like type of environments are probably where I thrive and enjoy being the most. When I went up to Nottingham, knew some people there, and didn't know that much about the club, being totally honest. But you're right, it was a really warm, welcoming club, really friendly, very tight knit. But a bit like here, it's unrecognisable now from the club that I played in back then. Facilities have grown tremendously. The streaming, exactly like what you guys do here, it is a different level. But it was something whenever I've chosen clubs and people have opinions of why players move, and obviously there's lots you take into account. But having good people and having a good family environment is something that's always been a key thing for me. And I think club people can judge clubs from the outside. But yeah, it was a wonderful, family club like it is here and like it is at some of the other places I've played.
Yeah. And your journey then was from Beeston. Subsequently, you've played for two clubs that have also played a big part in reinventing
Yeah.
hockey in the Premier League in Holcombe and now, well, most recently, Old Georgians.
Yeah.
Can you say a little bit about that without giving away too many of the internal secrets?
Yeah, I say no. I think it's a good thing to talk about because going back to what I said there, people have judgments, and I remember David South, who I'm still very friendly with at Holcombe, especially in the early days, saying that he felt like people assumed he was like a James Bond baddie sitting in his chair stroking his cat, trying to plot the downfall of something. When the complete opposite is
Yeah.
the case. A key person trying to drive hockey forwards, and yeah, if you go back to Beeston, we were a great tight knit group of mates, really, that played hard, partied a bit hard as well, being honest, and that really drove us through. Centralised program kicked in, and I had to make the move down south. And I was very close to coming here, I think as you were, and everything, because really enjoyed playing here against it. Holcombe, David, his support did arguably change the face of hockey in this country, I think, a little bit,
Yeah.
and for the better, in my opinion, because, okay, not everyone has investment, but I think the clubs that are going about it in the right way, like yourselves here, Beeston, you don't sit on your hands and just moan, but you go, okay, well, what can we do? What's our USP? And every club is going to be different, but you've got to find your way to kind of keep moving it forwards. And so, as I said, I went down there from the moment I met him, met the club members, everything. It was fantastic. It was a great opportunity to try and drive them forwards. And yeah, it was a wonderful club done the right way. As I said, people hear the headlines of players you signed, but David and Faith Dean put a lot of investment into the pitch, into the facilities there, and everything else. So yeah, it was a really good opportunity. Had some great times there. It was just a bit gutting, really, on a personal level, for the support him and the club gave, that we never managed to win a Premier League title, and the club's fallen short a couple of times. And now I've stepped away from the sport, although I'm still sort of an OG's man. I would love to see them win one at some point, because he does stuff the right way. But it was really interesting there, and then my time at Holcombe came to a natural end. I think it was a period where it's very difficult for clubs and international players. The club game was moving forwards, and I would call us sort of a semi-professional era at the moment. We're still, I think, working out where we are. Players have got contracts with clubs, they've got IPL contracts, and then the England contracts, and that probably needs to find a sweet spot at the moment, because I'm not sure it's working. When clubs are investing this into players, they need to have a bit more of a seat at the table, in my opinion. But ended at Holcombe purely because international commitments made us unavailable, and at that point, quite last minute unavailable. They planned for a whole season and then find out that they were 2018, I think it was, around the Commonwealth Games, that we weren't available for the second half of the season. And as I said, when clubs are putting that investment in players, they build a really good squad, and then you lose 8 people. It's very challenging, especially at a club like Holcombe that maybe didn't have the depth that other clubs did because of where they are on their journey. So that ended, and literally was going to go and play for Reading, which was on my doorstep. Didn't know if they had a goalkeeper. Reached out, sent a message, and changes of coaches led me to OGs, which again, there'll be people that judge that and go, you went to Holcombe, you went to OGs, you just follow, so you go to OGs, you just sort of follow money, so to speak. Like, Weybridge is 25 minutes from where I live. They just got promoted. And yes, I can't deny I've been very grateful there for the support we've had. But again, when you go and meet the people there, the people behind it, the people in the club, you understand what a great family club it was. Like, it was set up in a living room by families. And so again, being part of that journey and seeing the club move on is really good. And I think, again, they've raised the bar further because of the way, again, that they're recruiting players. If you want to compete with Dutch teams, German teams, you have to raise the standard of players in the club. You have to push for 3 days a week coaching and training and all these things that Ash and the guys there now are really doing. So yeah, I think I've been very lucky to play in an era where I can't comment too much going back to when we won gold, because that was probably a different era where the sport changed again. But in my lifetime, it feels like it's been a really interesting and exciting time to be involved, and I feel very privileged to have played a very, well, I would say, not key role, that's a bit arrogant, but like hopefully an important role when looking back in the future in helping Holcombe stabilise and be a top Prem club, and then OG's going on and winning the titles that they sort of dreamt about when the club was started in 1999.
Yeah. I mean, let's just talk about the international side. I remember a group of us sat down in 2005, actually.
Yeah.
It was just after the Olympics had been awarded to London. So if you think about it, that was 7 years before, right? And Richard Leman sat us down and said, right, in 2012, this is going to happen to the sport, which we all know there's a bump, but having it in your own country is a big thing. So we sat down and built our plan, and a lot of it involved the women because they were far below the men and getting parity. But the build up to 2012 was really tangible to a lot of us because we had, Glenn, Ashley, Ian Lewis was with us, Barry was with us at the time, Niall didn't make it to the tournament, but was obviously a big part of the training. And you were there as a reserve. You were inside the village, right? And that was the beginning of your Olympic journey. It'd be really interesting to hear a little bit about 2012 and the experience you had, and then going on.
Well, so you see 2005. I think 2005 or around that when it got awarded. I was on a cricket tour, literally down near this way, Brighton way, I think. And remember it being on the radio and it being announced. And you then did the maths, and you're sort of thinking, well, actually, maybe. And so that then suddenly became a bit of a dream. And then, as I said, I was lucky enough, made my debut 2007, quite out of the blue. Nick Brothers at the time pulled out the programme, so was added to the GB training squad for Beijing. Brilliant experience. And I'll be honest, my international career and all my career had sort of gone like this at that point. And I thought, here we go. And then I just stalled, whether it was I couldn't cope with the pressure of senior international, whatever it was. But, you know, you talk about that great team you had. Like, we had brilliant matches, Beeston versus EG in that era. And they were some of the great times, proper games, 6-4, you know, these types of things. And I could play, you know, really well at club, but just couldn't play well at international. But 2012 was the year it sort of clicked. And as I said, was second choice goalkeeper there. And I do remember it really vividly because people say, like, in hockey, what are your best experiences? And I think they expect you to say, like, this medal or, like, winning this. Now, obviously, I was very lucky. I played every game in 2016. It didn't go well. But actually, 2012 is probably one of the top moments of my career, even though I didn't get on the pitch. Just, like, being around it, the buzz for sport in this country. And sitting in the crowd and just seeing it all from above, really, like, I'm a very competitive person, gave me, like, a real drive. Like, I want to be at the next one. I want this. I want this to be something that I'm on the pitch for. And I look back at it, like, incredible memories, met the Queen, you know, those type of things off it. But then, like you've said, it felt like the sport was going to go boom. And whether we've capitalised on it in this country, I don't know. But I also think globally, hockey, that was the first time it was like on the Olympic Park, huge sellouts every game, the blue pitch, everything that went with it. And all the international tournaments from that point felt like they stepped up a little bit, like, you know, more TV coverage of them, more bigger events like World Cup in 2014, put it in a football stadium. So I think not just in this country, 2012 was, I think, a big Olympics for the sport, and actually one of those key moments where, as a sport, it kicked on globally, really.
I remember also there were some mega exciting games. I was lucky enough to get to the first game against Argentina, and I'll never forget this sweeping move from
Dan
defence
Fox.
up to Dan Fox finished it off with a split grip and whacked it in from the top of the circle, and you could see the emotion from the guys, and it was incredible. And I also got to see the South Africa game, which I think was a bit touch and go, and I think we equalised with like only seconds to go.
A nice deflection from Ash.
Yes, and of course the girls did really well, and they had to go through their you know, their difficult periods with nasty injuries and so on, and created a momentum there. So,
well, the games were incredible because I remember, again, you talk about that, and I actually was saying to someone recently, you look at like, the men in the sun obviously just losing to India. You look back then, and the format of it, 2 pools of 6 and only the top 2 qualified. To get into the top 2 to qualify for the semi-finals was an incredible achievement. And like you said, looking back on it, the Argentina goal was amazing, and it was so great. It was a guy like Dan Fox who scored, to be honest, like such a popular guy in the team who didn't really score many. But then I think Australia, we were something like 3-0 down and drew 3-3. Like, the game against Spain was one of the most feisty and nerve-wracking last 10 minutes. That was just a tournament where if you got tickets to watch that GB men's team, okay, semis didn't go like they wanted to. But for a pool game, the advert for the sport was incredible.
Yeah. So you got a little family started now, and so what's the future holding for George Pinner?
So obviously stepped away from sort of playing hockey end of last season. Just said very lucky that what we did with OGs towards the back end, winning a bronze medal in Europe. Again, when I was growing up, like, we had a good strong Beeston team. You had a very strong East Grinstead side. But I don't think either of us really managed to ever crack that KO16. And, you know, you talked about some of the players you had there at the peak. It was just so difficult to do. And so to do 2 years ago a bronze medal, especially with a very weaker squad with injuries, when I got the opportunities to do one more year, which I'm very grateful for, it felt like, could we do it? It became obvious last year that with a young family and everything, that I probably couldn't commit and be as the goalkeeper that I was. So it was the right thing to stop. Funnily enough, driving here this morning, there was a bit of me like, not going to miss the training, but like I think I will miss on the odd Saturday the buzz you get. But
I hear the faithful are still open
well,
to offers.
yeah, there's a few people who are still hoping that I might sort of, you know, play for them a bit more regularly. But no, look, Jo, my wife, you know, had an incredible career herself, but she's obviously had Josh. She came back, first player to sort of be on the centralised programme. I think there's maybe been some mums prior to her, but on the programme, come back after having Josh is an incredible achievement, and, you know, I think it's really great for the sport to see someone do that, and for the female athletes to know that they don't have to delay their career. So really proud of her. She then retired earlier this year, and yeah, just it feels like the right time to focus on Josh. We've got number 2 on the way, so fingers crossed all goes well with that, and just to be a bit more present, because last year, training twice a week, but on Saturdays we'd wake up, Joe would play, so I'm looking after Josh. He's running me wild, and at the same time you're thinking, I'm not playing till 6 o'clock tonight, I can't be doing this. You're chasing him around soft play. I'd then go to her game, drop him off.
Was you chasing him around soft play, or was it the other way around?
Well, I did, I thought it would be kind of, but he's obviously 6'4". I'm not designed for some of these tunnels. But and it just, there was a bit of guilt, I think, really, that like he wasn't coming first, and we wanted to be a bit more present and be able to do things and opportunities, and even like today, right? When you're with a club and you're committing to top level club hockey, Barry Milton always used to say to me, they're not sacrifices, they're choices. And it really resonated, because yes, I've said no to a lot of things, but it's always been a choice, because hockey's been the better thing. It's very liberating being able to say yes. Like, yes, I'm going to go out after work on this Thursday. Yes, I'm going to make use of my Ipswich Town season ticket. You know what? You're a good bunch of lads. Yes, I'll come and play hockey with you today. And I've not been able to say yes for the best part of 20 years. And so being able to say yes is great. Being very lucky, which meant my transition out of the programme was very smooth. And then, as I said, again, very lucky I'd made the decision to play for a club that can compete at the top. To give me that ego boost, being honest, like, I think any athlete has an ego, and that's not a bad thing. Like, and the same way people say, like, in this country, arrogance, this. No, it's confidence, it's wanting to be the best. It's enjoying the limelight and the big moments. That's what successful athletes, I think, sort of look for. So being able to do that for a few years and sort of not go cold turkey, come down. As I said, it's now nice saying yes, but I think there'll be a bit of me come Christmas.
But thanks so much for making time for this. It's been great. You're a gent, and you've had a fantastic career, and you look great in the yellow, not so bad in the red. On the claret, blue and white would have suited you better, I think. We all know that. But anyway, it's been great watching your progression over the years.
Thank you. And as I said, I think, in another life, like maybe this would have happened, it would be brilliant to be here. But I think the one thing that this club has always done is it's been very competitive on the pitch, and it's been very good off it. I said lots of battles, and I think the way the club is not looking at what they haven't got or what other clubs are doing, but what they can do to drive it forward, the better. Because yes, some clubs are doing other things, but the setup like this room today, I've been to BBC studios and not had as good a studio as this. So it's wonderful seeing, and I just hope the club continues to thrive and keeps driving these type of things forward.
Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon.